Hello, everyone, and welcome to Threat Detection and Response Beyond Your Endpoints. Today's webinar is sponsored by Red Canary and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Keith Ward. I am with Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator today for this action-packed webinar. First, though, I do need to cover some housekeeping items. Now, we want this to be an informative event for you. So we encourage any questions in the questions box in your webinar control panel. At the end of the presentation, we'll also have a Q&A session where we'll go over some of the top questions that come in. That Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might face here. First thing you want to do if that happens, if you can't see something, can't hear something, is do a browser refresh. That'll fix most of your issues. If a refresh or two doesn't work, let us know in that Q&A and we will follow up with you and provide further technical assistance. Okay, next, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, you will find some awesome resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to two handouts from Red Canary, a Forrester report on how to build a leading detection and response practice, and Red Canary's 2023 threat detection report. Download them both now. They're free and waiting for you. Now, in the handout section, you'll also see a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club, where you can get access to Actual Tech Media's vast library of printed resources on technology topics. The handout section also includes a link to the ATM Event Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events, including some which probably will intrigue you. I would check that out as well. And if you see something you like, sign up today. All right. Third, at the end of this webinar event, we'll be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Now, you have to be in attendance during the entire event to be eligible for the prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found also in the handouts section. And finally, one of the great things about this and all Actual Tech Media events is the opportunity to ask a question of our expert presenter. To help encourage those questions, we have a special additional prize for you. And that is another Amazon gift card, this one for $50 for the best question. After the event's over, we'll look at all the questions that come in. We'll pick out the very best one, and we will contact that prize winner. So, with that out of the way, let's get to the main event here. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenter today, Alex Spiliotis, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Red Canary. Alex, are you there? All right, let me bring you on here.
Hey.
Okay, it looks like you're ready to go. So if you are ready and raring to go, I will hand the virtual mic over to you. Take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Keith. And 9.5 out of 10 on my last name, which I'm usually working with a 6.5. So yeah, much appreciated.
Practice makes almost perfect. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you for the intro, and thanks everyone for taking time out of your day today to attend this webinar. As Keith mentioned, my name is Alex Spiliotis. I'm a senior manager at Red Canary. I've been at Red Canary for almost 2 years now. Before Red Canary, worked at a SIM vendor, and before that was doing security market research. So I've been on the business side of cybersecurity for a bit now. But today, I'm really excited to talk to you specifically about threat detection and response beyond your endpoints. Kind of a little bit more specifically what I'll cover throughout the presentation is first, I'll provide a little bit of background on the criticality of endpoint security, but then specifically how MDR extends EDR coverage and just your endpoint security, your broader IT security coverage generally. I'll dive into the operational benefits of MDR, which is Managed Detection and Response, if you're not familiar with that acronym. And then I'll go specifically into how Red Canary approaches and delivers managed detection and response across your whole IT estate. This webinar is about threat detection and response beyond your endpoints, but I don't want to diminish the importance of endpoint security. Endpoint detection and response, or EDR, is a necessary security technology, in 2023. On the Red Canary side, we secure nearly 1,000 customer environments, 1,000 of our own customers. We see tens of thousands of threats, and we stop them for customers every year. Interesting fact from last year is that 8 of the 10 top threats that Red Canary saw and stopped in its customer environments were precursors to ransomware. Ransomware, or EDR, is perhaps the critical technology for mitigating the effects of ransomware. Our internal data bears that out, but also just macro security data bears that out as well. So looking on the screen here, in the 2023 Verizon Data Breach Investigation Report, they noted that almost a quarter of all breaches in 2023 involved ransomware to some degree. And that number is up from 5% of all breaches in 2020. So ransomware is becoming more prevalent, and is certainly present in a critical number of actual enterprise breaches. Also, ransomware and dealing with its effects is costly for organizations. So according to IBM's Cost of a Data Breach report from this year, the average total cost of a ransomware breach is about $5.15 million, which is actually markedly more than the average cost of the average breach, so which is about $4.45 million. So ransomware necessitates EDR. Ransomware is common. It's costly to deal with, and EDR is a critical and necessary technology to stopping ransomware. But as you might know from experience, or not, I can tell you here, EDR alone is insufficient for broader enterprise security. You cannot rely just on EDR to protect the breadth of your enterprise. And even other technologies can really enrich and augment the value you get from EDR, from EDR. But I'll just, we'll look at an example phishing threat, kind of perhaps a common evolution of a phishing threat in an average organization environment. An organization or an employee receives a phishing email. The user unfortunately clicks on a malicious URL. Now kind of the file downloads, malicious scripts execute. The adversary establishes a command and control connection, and the threat actor logs in with compromised credentials that they perhaps have gleaned from the user. So if looking at what EDR captures, EDR would really be focused on detecting very quickly when a file downloads, a process starts, a script executes, and when a network connection is established with the adversary. You need to be able to detect those things, but as you can see, you cannot glean the full scope of this incident, nor could you detect the threat as early as possible if you are just relying on EDR or if you're over-reliant on EDR. It's imperative to detect threats as early as you possibly can. Certainly using EDR is better than not, but if you're really trying to stop threats as early as you can and understand the full scope of a threat, once when an adversary has kind of compromised one of your users or your machines to any degree, you need more than EDR to do that. Industry analysts cite the same point as well. A point from Forrester: EDR is a well-known and valuable tool for incident responders, but it still lacks the complete picture of an attack. So this is becoming or is already kind of an understood point about EDR. It's great, but it's not enough. The concept, if you're in the security industry, or if you're a security practitioner, you've probably heard the phrase XDR. You might even be sick of it. No comment there. But I think the principle behind XDR applies to what I just talked about with detecting threats earlier, stitching together relevant information quickly from various data sources, so that you can better protect your organization. So if you have XDR in place, whether that's a dedicated XDR product that you bought, or just sending data from or analyzing in context data from your endpoints, your network, your SaaS applications, your broader IT environment. If you do that efficiently, you get visibility into non-endpoint attacks. You do identify attacks earlier, and because you fully scope, you have broader visibility into the evolution of a threat, you reduce investigation and response time. So there are clear benefits to broadening the aperture of the data sources that your organization relies on beyond just EDR, endpoint data, or your EDR product. But that's not to say that just having the right technology and looking at the right data from a broader range of technology solves your problem. In fact, you may have already said to yourself, my problem is not technology. I have a very friendly CISO or CIO, like I have a solid budget. I have the technology I need, or most of it. I have skill and expertise problems, or my problems are kind of beyond the realm of technology. We understand that. So some trends that we're seeing in reasons that customers come to us, and that even our customers cite to us as reasons why they stick with Red Canary, are on screen here. So organizations are having to deal with a broader and increasingly broad attack surface. So, a big driver of this was the mainstream shift to remote work that happened during the pandemic. Attack surface gets broader. In parallel to that, organizations are adopting more and more SaaS applications. Sensitive data is residing outside the network perimeter, which makes it harder for IT and IT security professionals to understand where data is and access patterns. So the broadening attack surface makes just security harder to provide for organizations. Budgets are, organizations are still being asked to do more with less in the current macroeconomic environment. Data we're seeing is that budgets are certainly not increasing as much as security professionals had been hoping they were. In many cases, they're stagnant or decreasing slightly. It's not just security teams. All organizations or all business units in this macroeconomic environment have to do more with fewer resources. That strains security teams. And additionally, the charter of a security team is in many cases to decrease the likelihood and cost of a security incident. Achieving that goal in the context of a broadening attack surface and perhaps fewer resources just adds a lot of strain to security professionals, the day-to-day job of being a security professional. On the left here are kind of the challenges that organizations are often feeling. That again, these are talent shortages, skills gaps, needing 24/7 protection and assurance that no matter when an incident occurs, you'll be able to handle it. Too many alerts, and of course, kind of a lot of tools. More tools than consoles you can pop into to kind of analyze your data efficiently. Only that last bullet that last row really relates to products. So again, 4 of these 5 pressing challenges are kind of people and personnel issues. I guess alert fatigue is product related as well, but this is just to say people challenges are really straining organizations. Just some data points that kind of support the challenges I've discussed thus far. Almost 60% of organizations claim they're impacted by the global cybersecurity skills shortage. Over 60% of organizations cite an increasing workload, or I guess over 60% of survey respondents cite an increasing workload because of the skills shortage. And then over 40% of organizations are working with more than 10 security vendors. And it feels like almost that could be a little bit low, or, if you're working with 10, we've seen many organizations working with 20 plus tools. Just the landscape for actually delivering security outcomes to your organization is very challenging, regardless of if you're looking at EDR, or even better, you're looking at a broader range of data sources. These persistent challenges on screen kind of get in the way of you succeeding at your job. That's where Red Canary can really help. So we alleviate the pressure that your organization is feeling due to the challenges that I just discussed on screen here. Again, if you're not familiar with Red Canary, we provide 24/7 managed detection and response services for nearly 1,000 organizations. We serve a wide range of customers, everything from tens of organizations in the Fortune 1000 to kind of smaller organizations that really need us to be their SOC as a service, or their core security team. But the way Red Canary Managed Detection and Response works is very simple. You connect your security products to Red Canary. It's very easy to connect your products to our software platform. That's where, when you connect your products, alerts and raw telemetry start flowing to Red Canary, and our technology and people begin analyzing it on your behalf. After you connect your products to Red Canary, we have a dedicated team of cybersecurity experts who hunt for threats, triage alerts, investigate suspicious activity, validate and fully scope threats as we detect them, and we do this 24/7. So we don't take days off. If someone's on vacation, someone else is working. On holidays, Red Canary is still working, on behalf of our customers to ensure that they're secured around the clock. And lastly, when we detect a threat in a customer environment, we provide we help customers respond and remediate extremely efficiently. I'll discuss the ways we help customers respond, but we offer everything from allowing you to call us at any time of day and step-by-step walk you through response and remediation based on the threat that you're facing, to helping you automate response to certain threats. And lastly, our people just connecting to your devices remotely and doing remediation on your behalf. So a broad range of response capabilities to help you overcome threats as quickly as possible. And I just wanted to draw attention to the people that we have internally working on behalf of our customers. We have very sophisticated security personnel across a variety of teams, all working together to improve security across our customer base. Just to touch on these teams here, so we have an in-house detection engineering team. We are looking at alerts from your security products. Your products are generating alerts. They can contain valuable data for us. We review alerts, but also critically, we are taking raw data from key security domains like your endpoints, your identity platforms, your cloud infrastructure environments, and we are writing threat detections to supplement the coverage of your products. So if you're a Red Canary customer, you're getting the benefit of your security products, but also Red Canary's detection engineering team writing detections to capture behavior that your products would otherwise miss. We have a detection enablement team, or kind of a combination threat research data science team. This team is really looking at how to make the detection process more efficient, but also ensure that Red Canary is creating detections to capture emerging security or threat activity. So making sure that you're prepared not only for the threats that we commonly see in customer environments, but also for the threats we know are starting to emerge or will come in the near future. Next, we have a threat intelligence team in-house. This team is doing everything from reverse engineering malware to analyzing information from the dark web, to looking at threat feeds, analyzing our own internal threat intelligence. This team is writing real-time updates to our customer base when certain threats are emerging, and maintaining adversary profiles. We have a really talented, comprehensive team of internal threat intelligence professionals who make the threat landscape easier for our customers to understand. And lastly, we have a dedicated threat hunting team that is doing hypothesis-based threat hunting to catch threats that maybe your products have not captured. And this team is also helping you respond and remediate threats 24/7. So I'll touch on kind of our approach and outcomes specifically related to detection, response, and then briefly I'll cover security coverage as well. But with respect to detection, we pride ourselves on finding threats that are missed by other tools. The way it works is very simple. So your products are generating a ton of alerts. Because you send those alerts to us, and you can rely on us to separate signal from noise, we identify the actual threats based on that your products are generating. And because, as I mentioned, we are writing our own threat detections based and applying them to raw data we're streaming from your environment, we're finding threats that your products would miss. So making your detection process more efficient, but also augmenting the coverage you already have. We are extremely proud of our threat accuracy rate. So you'll see even in the last couple of days, you'll see a lot of organizations market like 100% threat coverage or big numbers, right? If you're in the security industry, you're used to big numbers from vendors. So I'll substantiate this data point we have here. So Red Canary looked at all the alerts that we sent customers based on threats we detected in their environment. When we say threats published, we mean whenever a Red Canary customer, we detect a threat in a customer environment, we dedicate a threat page in our portal to explaining the threat, its severity level, next steps, kind of making the threat easier for the customer to understand. We detected almost 34,000 threats in customer environments last year. In only 286 cases did the customer provide feedback, and we make it easy for them to provide this feedback, that either the threat wasn't fully scoped, or Red Canary, you missed something. Hey, Red Canary, this wasn't actually a threat. That only happened 286 times, which comes out to a 99% threat accuracy rate, or true positive rate for alerts. This is critical because it allows our customer security teams to focus on other work other than threat detection and response. But when Red Canary tells them that there's a threat, they know to pivot, and they can trust that pivoting to the Red Canary alert is worth their time because we are so accurate. So the big number is nice, but that's why it matters, because our customers know when Red Canary says it's a threat, it's actually a threat. On the topic of response, so I mentioned we kind of have a comprehensive range of response offerings. I'll go through them now. So all Red Canary customers get 24/7 guided response and remediation service from our threat hunting team. So for high severity threats, we will proactively contact a customer according to a protocol we established with them and ensure that they're responding and remediating accordingly. But any customer can pick up the phone and call our threat hunting hotline at any time to receive step-by-step guidance on response and remediation. That's something all Red Canary customers receive that service. All Red Canary customers also receive automated response capabilities in our platform. So we have SOAR capabilities and SOAR playbooks that you can create in our platform. So that's security, orchestration, automation, and response playbooks. Very easy to use playbooks that allow you to automate everything from team communication. So you can set up a playbook that says, if Red Canary detects a medium or high severity threat, please dial this phone tree, send these Slack messages to these people. You can configure that with even more granularity in our platform. Or you can set up automated threat containment playbooks. So if Red Canary detects a high severity threat, please isolate all affected endpoints and force all associated identities to re-authenticate. Some customers have a little bit more appetite for automated response than others. There's no pressure to use our automated response playbooks, but we encourage customers to use them to the extent they feel comfortable, because it can really make a material difference in stopping a threat before it progresses in your environment. The last offering is an add-on, we call active remediation. So with active remediation, our experts, after we detect a threat, connect to any affected devices that you may have to do hands-on keyboard remediation, manual inspection of the endpoint, removing artifacts that might allow an adversary to hop back on to an endpoint after they're booted. Just that extra level of assurance, knowing that our experts are actually connected to your affected devices or your affected endpoints and doing the remediation. Many customers appreciate that, so we have an active remediation add-on service. And here is just an example response improvement outcome from a customer that is this customer is still a Red Canary customer. They've been a customer for a while. This data is kind of from when they deployed Red Canary. But as you can see, they deployed Red Canary in Q4 of 2019. And by late Q1 2020, we reduced their MTTR by about 10x. This organization is a very large enterprise. They leaned very heavily into our automated response playbooks, which is what allowed them to kind of see such a drastic reduction in MTTR. But we deliver these types of outcomes to all of our customers, or should I say, to customers who are willing to collaborate with us and really are focused on improving their response processes and MTTR. These types of outcomes, are common, regardless of industry or organization size. And just some examples of threats we detect. So in the cloud, as I mentioned, we are looking at alerts and raw and logs and raw data from your cloud infrastructure, from your SaaS applications. We're detecting things like account takeovers, reconnaissance, misconfigurations, risks like overly permissive access settings, helping you feel more confident that your cloud, the data in the cloud is secure. On devices, we are stopping general malware, ransomware specifically, fileless attacks, remote access tools, both legitimate tools, but also malicious tools connecting in unwanted ways to your devices, and more. And specifically focusing on your users, we are, as I mentioned, we are looking at alerts and raw data from products like Okta, Microsoft Office 365, Azure AD, or Microsoft Azure AD, now called Entra ID. We're looking at a kind of rich pool of identity-specific data to detect things like account compromise, business email compromise, MFA exhaustion attacks, kind of email forwarding by the adversary once they compromise an email inbox, kind of hiding rules to forward relevant information externally. These are just examples of threats we detect, but these are often top priorities for our customers are stopping these types of threats on screen, and we absolutely help them do that. Just wanted to cite a success story that kind of ties together, or I guess illustrates how our approach to 24/7 service, writing detections that supplement product detections, and the kind of relationship between our threat intel, our detection engineering, and our threat hunting team, how it kind of all comes together in a way that benefits customers. So you may remember in the summer of 2021, there was a supply chain ransomware attack. It was unfortunately a really unfortunate weekend for a lot of organizations dealing with this threat and for the weeks after, with this ransomware for the weeks after. In short, Red Canary fully mitigated this threat for all affected customers 30 minutes before the software vendor that was suffering the ransomware incident formally announced that it was suffering that incident. The way we kind of achieved that was within 4 to 5 minutes of the adversary starting to execute malicious processes or behave in a malicious way, our threat detections, the ones that the Red Canary threat detection engineers created, captured and identified that suspicious behavior. Based on additional process, correlating additional processes and our threat intelligence team kind of looking into this behavior as it was evolving, we associated the behavior with our evil ransomware. At that point, we knew this was a very serious threat, and our threat hunting team proactively reached out to all affected customers and to the extent necessary, helped them respond and remediate so that they could kind of go about their weekend as a normal weekend and not be stuck dealing with a really big and serious ransomware outbreak. And so to summarize, just kind of the impacts that, or the reasons what our customers cite back to us as the reasons they chose Red Canary and the benefits that we continue to have for their organizations. Before Red Canary, many of our customers were overwhelmed with alert fatigue. Organizations are receiving thousands of alerts per day in many cases. It's an untenable situation. It's not fair that security professionals have to try to wade through that big of an alert queue every day, and it burns people out. After bringing on Red Canary, our customers feel like they're focused and effective. We take on the burden of efficiently analyzing all that noise so that we can present back to you real threats, fully scoped with response and remediation capabilities to help you overcome them. Also, before Red Canary, our customers kind of feel like they had security coverage gaps. So maybe they only worked from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Maybe they had security tools that they either hadn't turned on or they turned on and weren't looking at the data from them. Really feeling like they don't have complete coverage. Red Canary, really again alleviates that concern. So we provide 24/7 clarity across your enterprise because we're looking at all the data that you, in an ideal world, if your team had the resources, would want to analyze for security purposes. You can connect to Red Canary. We, in many cases, can recommend other data sources to connect to Red Canary to help us secure your organization even better. But we provide that 24/7 enterprise-wide coverage and assurance to our customers. And then many organizations are come to us because they're dealing with not enough people staffed and a lack of expertise on staff, specifically with respect to detection and response. If you bring on Red Canary, you get more expertise from day one, and you don't have to worry about hiring more internal headcount. We can make the people you have a lot more efficient, both because they can focus on other projects and not be mired in the alert queue, but also because it takes a huge load off of them. They're going to be happier. They can kind of consult Red Canary as necessary. There can often be a nice learning experience, particularly for your more junior professionals. You get more expertise while keeping the same internal headcount by bringing on Red Canary. So just in summary, we help our customers level up their security programs. We help them detect more threats and respond faster to those threats. And we increase just overall team efficiency based on the way that we deliver managed detection and response. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for standing by, or sitting by, I should say, and attending. I really appreciate it. So Keith, I think we now might have some questions that I could address.
We do indeed. Hey, terrific presentation, Alex. Enjoyed that a lot. Some really striking numbers there, and very timely, absolutely. With all the threats that are constantly exploding, we're seeing all the time that threats are growing rather than subsiding. There's more need for this than ever. So while we dive into Q&A, I put a poll question up. So we want to find out. Let Red Canary know basically how they can help your organization right now. They are ready and standing by to talk to you. So if you want to hear from them, let them know the best way to do that. And I'm going to leave that poll up while you and I get through some of this great Q&A that we've had coming in. So I had one question while you're going through that I came up with, and I wanted to ask this to you right now. Alex, how often do customers turn to you before they suffer an attack to help stop attacks versus coming to you after they've been attacked and suffered a huge event? In other words, how proactive do you find that customers are, when they come to Red Canary?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. A kind of annoying answer is it really depends on the customer. So many organizations, before they experience kind of a significant incident, just feel the sense like, hey, if it occurred, I wouldn't have the resources to contain it efficiently. So maybe sometimes for excuse me, smaller organizations, you have few, if any, security professionals in-house. Might just be an IT team that owns responsibility for security. It's like maybe you have some friends at other companies who've been hit with a ransomware attack or had a major credential compromise, and you kind of you feel a sense of like stress, right? That might cause you to bring on an MDR provider. Then other organizations will bring us on after they've suffered an incident. So, that can be a really unfortunate experience for many organizations. It's like even if you have the resources, just a significant, a true outbreak of any sort is very stressful, not something anyone wants to go through twice. So that is another reason why you might bring on Red Canary. Last kind of profile maybe I'd say is very large organizations are going through incidents all the time, right? They're constantly getting, tapped by nation state actors, by just commodity threats, by targeted, business specific attacks, right? They know it's ongoing, and they need a trusted partner that provides as good or better security expertise as they have in-house. So those organizations kind of bring on Red Canary because they're like, hey, we can trust these guys. We vetted the technology. We vetted the people. They can handle this part of security operations, and our team can kind of focus on other parts, pivoting to whatever, what Red Canary says when they detect a threat.
And if we're being honest here, Alex, there's so many attacks that we never hear about because companies are not reporting them. They don't want the reputational damage that follows. They also don't want to let everyone know, hey, we're a big fat security target, come attack us again, which happens a lot. So as bad as the situation is in reality, it's even worse because there's so many attacks that do not make the news that aren't reported too. So it's hard not, you don't want to scare people, but we also want to make everyone aware, of how serious the situation is. I think that's fair.
Yep.
Okay. Another question from the attendees. Do you have to use automated response if you're a Red Canary customer? Interesting.
Yeah. So no, you don't have to use automated responses. And again, we totally understand that organizations really differ on their appetite for automated responses. I know many organizations maybe have had bad experiences with automation at scale. It can happen where if you've automated things at scale and one thing goes wrong, you can have a bad IT experience or something like that. You either have had that happen in the past, or you want to avoid that ever happening. You're very automation averse. You don't have to use our automated playbooks whatsoever if you're a Red Canary customer. Now, we will work with our customers and collaborate with them on creating automated response playbooks that meet their level of appetite for containing things automatically. We encourage customers to use the playbooks because, as I mentioned earlier, stopping threats quickly is just so critical to avoiding downstream things like data exfiltration or ransomware payload delivery.
It's easy when you're, sorry, let me interrupt. It's easy when you're in panic mode to skip steps. That's why these playbooks are so important, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. We created them knowing that many customers who have used kind of dedicated SOAR products have not had fantastic experiences with those. So we've tried to make ours as simple as possible to encourage adoption if customers are interested.
Okay. Okay. Next question. What is the engagement model with Red Canary responders?
Yeah. So Red Canary responders are available 24/7 to guide all Red Canary customers through response and remediation. That is available to the whole customer base. As I mentioned, I guess the automated playbooks are not our responders, but our threat hunting team will collaborate with customers if they want to develop playbooks that will optimize their response to threats. But for high severity threats, we proactively contact the customer to make sure that, hey, even if you're not contacting us, we need to know that you saw this and that you either are responding the way that you know you need to, or we're available as a resource recommending response and remediation steps for you. And the last option is the active remediation service I mentioned before. For active remediation customers, for threats of, I believe it's medium and high severity, our people just get to work immediately upon Red Canary detecting the threat, remediating it on your behalf, and then summarizing the steps that we took and any additional steps the customer needs to take. One thing I'll add is it's a ungated access to our expert team. We are not going to turn you away because you're calling us on a Saturday, right? We're not going to turn you away because you haven't ever called our hotline before, right? It's intentionally an ungated experience so that we can really help customers whenever they're in need.
That peace of mind is important, along with the proactive notifications for overworked security admins, and pretty much all security admins are overworked, aren't they? I mean, that is really important. Okay, I've got time for a couple more. So next one, how is Red Canary different from other service providers? This is a softball question, but there's a lot of people out there, a lot of security providers. How do you differentiate what you do from the other folks?
Yeah. So there are a lot of other good security service providers. I mean, security services is a super broad range of capabilities. So maybe some ways that customers we see ourselves in relation to other security services is maybe comparing Red Canary, which we do managed detection and response, to legacy MSSPs or organizations that manage security service providers that provide a broader range of services. We are laser focused on with our MDR service detecting and responding to threats as efficiently as possible. Many legacy security service providers are focused on delivering as many services as they can to customers without a focus on depth or quality of each service, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind is all security service providers are now saying they do MDR because it's a much needed service, but asking questions about does your MDR service have an internal threat intelligence team? Do your responders, are they available 24/7? Do they provide remediation services, right? Really vetting to make sure that what you're evaluating is managed detection and response and not kind of MDR washed legacy security services. So that's kind of higher level breakdown, thinking about MDR versus MSSPs. Also, I'll say just like things that that our customers appreciate about us are the 99% threat accuracy rate. That is rare in the industry. If you find another service provider delivering that high a true positive rate of alerts to customers, particularly in a way that is easy to understand, the threat's easy to understand, and the scope of the threat is already done by the provider. That's very rare. Are the tight integration of our threat intelligence team, our detection engineering team, our threat research, and our threat hunting teams is also we think unique in the MDR industry. And then lastly, our breadth of response capabilities and just access to our expert team. You'll find many other service providers that restrict communication with their team to a chat app that make you pay extra to have meetings with the threat hunting team, right? If they even have a threat hunting team. We don't do any of that. And we like to think that our customers appreciate that. And I believe that's relatively unique in the market.
Fantastic. Okay, so based on the poll that I see here that people are still doing, you've really got a lot of interest from the attendees. If someone wants to take the next step right after this event, what is the next thing they should do, Alex? That's our final question for you today.
Yeah, so for the organizations that would like more resources, please go to redcanary.com. We have tons of resources on our website, white papers. You can see, we were named a leader in the Forrester Wave this past year for managed detection and response. Plenty of resources on our website. But I would say seeing Red Canary in action is probably your best bet if you're already researching MDR. I would go to redcanary.com. I believe it's redcanary.com/demo and set up a demo. You can actually see our platform. One of our professionals will kind of walk you through the features, but more importantly, like what it looks like to be a Red Canary customer and the experience of us detecting a threat and how we help you overcome it. I would say I would go to redcanary.com/demo. For the folks who need pricing, I would talk with one of our sales professionals. I believe that's redcanary.com/contact us. They can give you more information on our pricing. But without going into the weeds on pricing, like we price very simply. It's not like a convoluted ingest-based pricing model or scary ingest-based pricing model. Like it's a pretty simple pricing structure.
And simple is good when it comes to pricing. Alex, I enjoyed this so much today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing us the threats that are out there and how Red Canary notifies you and helps you minimize those threats out there. It's been a real eye-opener for me. And thanks for your insights in the Q&A today. It's been a real pleasure to have you on.
Yep. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. And again, thanks everyone for taking the time to attend this webinar today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, everyone. That was so enjoyable for me. And now, before we wrap you up, though, and get you out of here, we do have one more piece of business, which you may have suspected was coming, and that is the Amazon gift card prize drawing. As I mentioned at the beginning, you have to be present and around for the entire event to be eligible. And the winner of the $250 Amazon gift card for this event is Jay Chandarana. Hope I said that right, Jay, from Michigan. Congratulations to you, and we will be in touch to get you your card. And with that, everyone, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Red Canary for making this event possible. And I want to thank all of you for attending today and for your great questions. It was really fun to be with you here today. That concludes this event now. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next event.